In this video, we explore one of the most restrictive disciplinary devices recorded in early administrative history, the Iron Padlock of Silence. We examine the rise of a ruler whose governance relied on strict documentation, the creation of a metal gag designed to control information flow, and the long-term impact it had on officials who were subjected to it. Guys, can you help me to hit 1,000 subscribers on this channel? And it's my dream. Sorry for interruption. It's humble request. Let's jump into the video. King Varomel of the Eastern Dominion emerged during a period marked by competing warlords and shifting borders. His early life is documented through administrative scrolls that list him as the son of a regional tax overseer. These records present a figure shaped by routine exposure to civic procedures and regional disputes. Varomel gained initial attention as a clerk who reorganized land registries in the lower frontier provinces. His revisions reduced duplicate entries and introduced new symbols for property classifications. This work brought him to the notice of provincial leaders who valued individuals capable of simplifying complex governance structures. Military records indicate that Varomel had minimal early battlefield involvement. Instead, his administrative accuracy positioned him as a mediator in small-scale conflicts. Reports from the Council of Marshals show that he maintained impartiality in arbitration, resulting in multiple settlements without extended confrontations. His rise accelerated when he proposed a census-based revenue system. This approach shifted taxation from arbitrary demands towards standardized assessments. Surviving tablets from the era record increases in grain stores and livestock counts, suggesting that this policy improved predictability for farmers and merchants. The previous monarch, Rethamar II, appointed Varomel to the position of strategic comptroller. This role tasked him with the review of supply chains used by the royal guard. Varomel's audits revealed inefficiencies, including misallocated iron shipments and inconsistencies in soldier provisioning. Varomel authored a lengthy report recommending changes to transport routes and storage procedures. The recommendations included the division of supply depots into northern, coastal, and central sectors. Contemporary scholars note that these reforms supported the later expansion of the royal military. Political transitions began after the death of Rethamar II, whose lineage produced no heir. The High Council convened to select a successor based on administrative competence and regional support. Varomel's name appeared consistently in council notes due to his record of efficient reforms. Regional governors supported Varomel because his policies reduced the need for sudden levy collections. This stability allowed them to maintain open trade routes across mountain passes and river markets. A majority vote placed Varomel on the throne, marking the beginning of a governance style centered on structured oversight. Once crowned, Varomel introduced a codified system of judicial ranks. These ranks classified judges based on experience, previous rulings, and mastery of territorial laws. The new structure produced clearer chains of accountability across district courts. He established the Office of Civic Maintenance, which was responsible for urban cleanliness, road upkeep, and the supervision of public wells. Annual reports preserved in stone inscriptions describe reductions in waterborne illnesses and improved road conditions in major settlements. These outcomes strengthened public confidence in his administration. Varomel also expanded the royal archive to preserve demographic, agricultural, and military records. Archive workers developed a consistent script style that historians identify as the Varomelian standard. This development enhanced communication among officials across distant provinces. Economic reports from his reign detail the introduction of fixed market inspection cycles. Inspectors recorded weights, prices, and stall conditions, which reduced disputes between vendors and buyers. The system stabilized currency value and encouraged regular commerce. The king showed significant interest in architectural planning. His reign saw the construction of square administrative halls with reinforced stone foundations. Engineers noted that these buildings resisted erosion better than earlier wooden structures. Varomel reorganized provincial boundaries into sectors labeled by natural features such as rivers, ridges, or plains. This reduced confusion caused by overlapping territorial claims. The sectors allowed for more precise tax collection and clearer distribution of public resources. His agricultural policies emphasized seed storage and seasonal forecasting. The Royal Observatory used sun markers and shadow measurements to predict rainfall patterns. These predictions guided farmers in planting schedules and contributed to improved harvest reliability. Military development under Varomel focused on logistical precision rather than territorial conquest. He created regional supply coordinators responsible for mapping safe routes for troop movement. Archived military notes describe increases in mobilization speed and reductions in transport losses. The king encouraged literacy among lower-ranking officials. Instruction centers were established in central provinces to teach reading, numerical notation, and record-keeping. The spread of these skills contributed to a more uniform administrative network. Trade expansion characterized the middle years of Varomel's rule. Agreements with northern hill communities provided steady mineral imports, including copper and low-grade silver. In exchange, Varomel authorized the export of pottery, textiles, and processed grains. He introduced standardized weights for metal trade, which minimized discrepancies between sellers. Surviving metal blocks engraved with his seal confirmed the early use of calibrated measurement tools. Archaeologists note that these tools improved regional mining documentation. Religious practices during Varomel's reign underwent mild organizational restructuring. He required temples to submit yearly inventories of offerings, land use, and restoration needs. These reports helped coordinate state contributions to major ceremonial sites. Public health directives emerged as a recurring feature of his governance. Medical practitioners were granted designated quarters near market centers, ensuring consistent access for travelers and villagers. Annals from the period mention a decline in seasonal fever outbreaks. Varomel supported the construction of reservoirs in drought-prone regions. The reservoirs relied on stone channels designed to divert excess rainfall into elevated basins. These systems reduced crop losses during unpredictable dry spells. Civic festivals were standardized into annual cycles. Each festival required financial records, participation counts, and reports of incidents. This documentation allowed Varomel's administration to evaluate social conditions and allocate security personnel accordingly. Diplomatic correspondence from neighboring domains suggests that Varomel maintained stable external relations. He exchanged emissaries with coastal kingdoms and highland tribes, focusing on mutual trade protection. None of these interactions indicate major conflicts during this phase. The king emphasized the importance of geological surveys. Survey teams mapped rock composition in mountainous areas to identify potential quarry sites. These surveys supported new infrastructure projects, including bridges and urban expansions. The Royal Guard experienced structural revisions under Varomel's rule. Recruitment standards shifted toward requiring basic literacy and adherence to updated conduct guidelines. These measures improved internal reporting and reduced inter-guard disputes. Varomel's administrative philosophy centered on consistency and documentation. Each department was required to maintain quarterly logs that were reviewed by a central oversight unit. This process increased transparency within the state hierarchy. Ethnographic records from his reign show interest in integrating frontier communities. Varomel approved the establishment of mixed settlement zones where merchants and farmers from diverse backgrounds interacted. These zones served as regulated buffers between cultural groups. Infrastructure planning included the improvement of major river bridges. Engineers recorded the use of layered stone slabs and iron bindings that enhanced load capacity. These bridges facilitated safer movement of goods and travelers. Varomel issued land grants to veteran soldiers following their service. The grants included specific dimensions and soil assessments. This helped reintegrate soldiers into agricultural work while stabilizing frontier populations. Census expansions continued throughout his reign. Census teams documented households, livestock, and productive lands with increasing accuracy. The accumulated data supported policy adjustments in trade, food distribution, and resource management. By the later years of his rule, Varomel was recognized for his detailed administrative systems. His governance emphasized predictability, regulated growth, and institutional cohesion. Contemporary records portray him as a ruler who prioritized structural order across all aspects of state activity. During the later period of Varomel's reign, administrative strictness increased in response to rising disputes between regional councils. Records show that communication inconsistencies created delays in grain transport and taxation updates. As a result, Varomel authorized new disciplinary measures intended to regulate official conduct. Judicial logs describe a committee established to evaluate breaches of protocol among scribes, tax collectors, and gate supervisors. The committee reviewed incomplete reports, unauthorized revisions, and false declarations. Penalties were standardized according to category, severity, and frequency. Within this framework, the Iron Padlock of Silence appeared as an approved punitive device. Its design originated from metalworkers who specialized in restrained apparatuses for public order. The device featured a hinged metal gag that locked around the tongue and jaw, forcing the mouth into an open position. The padlock consisted of three components: a curved oral plate, an adjustable jaw brace, and a locking mechanism at the rear. The oral plate prevented the tongue from retracting, while the brace restricted the jaw from closing. Metalworkers ensured the surfaces were smooth to avoid immediate tearing, though long-term usage produced swelling and abrasion. Archived manuals from the Office of Civic Discipline outlined the intended purpose of the device. It was used primarily for officials who disrupted record accuracy, spread unverified information, or interfered with archival processes. The device acted as a corrective measure rather than an execution tool in its early implementation. Usage conditions required a supervising magistrate and 2 attendants. Magistrates recorded the start time, the condition of the subject, and the reason for application. Attendants ensured the padlock remained securely fastened and noted any visible changes in the subject's breathing or posture. Application typically lasted several hours. Prolonged use gradually caused swelling of the tongue due to extended exposure. Medical notes confirm that blood vessels near the base of the tongue often enlarged, leading to restricted airflow and gradual respiratory difficulty. The padlock was stored in designated chests at provincial offices. Each chest held multiple devices of varying sizes to accommodate differences in jaw width. Inventory documents show that larger administrative centers required more frequent replacements due to wear and corrosion. Officials convicted of falsifying census records received the padlock for periods ranging from 4 to 6 hours. These durations were selected based on early observations of tolerable exposure without immediate fatality. Repeat offenders were subjected to longer intervals determined by the tribunal. The device gained greater prominence after inconsistencies were discovered in the Northern Frontier grain assessments. Several assessors were found to have concealed stockpiles for private trade. Tribunal notes detail the decision to employ the padlock as a demonstration of administrative rectification. Medical practitioners assigned to administrative sectors were required to submit quarterly reports on complications resulting from the device. Common issues included oral bleeding, jaw stiffness, and tissue swelling. Some practitioners recommended reductions in exposure time to limit respiratory obstruction. Despite these recommendations, usage remained steady due to the need for uniform enforcement. Varomel's counsel argued that predictable punitive standards reinforced accuracy within the expanding bureaucracy. Counsel memos emphasized the belief that consistent procedures fostered long-term administrative stability. Scholars studying Varomel's reign identify 3 phases of padlock usage. The first involved local administrative corrections, the second addressed regional mismanagement, and the third included public demonstrations. Public demonstrations took place in market squares under the supervision of city judges. City records show that public usage aimed to reinforce the importance of precise communication among officials. Citizens observed the process as part of regulated civic education. Notices posted near demonstration sites described the specific violation committed by the subject. The padlock also played a role in regulating unauthorized proclamations. Individuals who issued statements without council approval were classified as political disruptors. Council documents emphasized that accuracy in public announcements was necessary for maintaining order in densely populated towns. Implementation protocols required the subject to be seated with the head secured by a wooden frame. The frame prevented sudden movements that could dislodge the device and cause additional injury. Reports from attendants describe occasional instances of structural damage to the frame caused by forceful resistance. Training requirements for attendants included instruction in device placement, metal inspection, and breathing assessment. Quarterly examinations evaluated their precision in applying the padlock without causing immediate structural harm to the tongue or jaw. Manufacturing centers relied on standard molds to ensure consistent dimensions. Metal workers used a combination of iron and low-carbon steel for durability. Burn records indicate heating temperatures and cooling intervals used to shape the components. Supply logs reveal that the capital received shipments every 2 months. Regional centers received theirs quarterly, depending on usage frequency. The distribution was coordinated by the Office of Material Allocation, which kept detailed ledgers tracking every issued device. Some administrative documents mention the creation of contingency guidelines. These guidelines instructed magistrates to remove the padlock if the subject showed early signs of severe airway blockage. The process required the joint approval of 2 officials to prevent unauthorized release. Varomel's decision to authorize the padlock stemmed from the increasing complexity of the administrative network. As record-keeping expanded, misinformation posed greater risks to resource allocation. The centralized nature of his governance required consistent data to maintain responsive policies. The padlock served as an intermediary penalty between fines and imprisonment. Fines were insufficient deterrents for wealthier officials, while imprisonment removed key personnel from their offices for extended periods. The padlock offered a temporary corrective measure with immediate administrative impact. Subjects often took several days to regain full jaw mobility after exposure. Medical notes recommend consumption of soft foods during recovery. The notes also list common aftereffects, including difficulty swallowing and persistent tongue soreness. Breathing complications varied depending on tongue size and swelling rate. Early manuals instructed attendants to observe the rise and fall of the subject's chest. Irregular breathing required brief pauses in application, documented in supervision logs. The padlock's development coincided with the expansion of provincial archive centers. Increased documentation meant greater scrutiny of official behavior. The device thus became integrated into broader administrative reforms rather than isolated disciplinary practice. Magisterial councils discussed proposals for alternative corrective methods, including speech restriction orders. These orders limited the number of statements an official could make per day. However, such proposals lacked effective enforcement, so the padlock remained preferred. Toward the end of Varomel's middle reign, the padlock appeared in several court case summaries. These cases involved disputes over trade certifications, misreported crop yields, and alteration of boundary markers. Tribunal panels applied the device in accordance with updated penalty charts. Ethnographers analyzing the period note that public perception of the padlock varied. Some viewed it as a necessary tool for maintaining administrative precision. Others considered it overly intrusive, though documentation suggests limited organized opposition. The Royal Archive preserves diagrams illustrating the proper fastening technique. The diagrams show cross-sections of the jaw brace, tongue plate, and locking shackle. Scholars use these illustrations to understand the engineering details of the device. Comparative studies indicate that no equivalent device existed in neighboring kingdoms. Varomel's administrative environment was uniquely dependent on precise documentation, which partly explains the tool's emergence. Neighboring regions relied more on fines and oath-based corrections. Despite the medical risks associated with the padlock, Varomel's administration maintained detailed usage guidelines to limit fatal outcomes. These guidelines included exposure thresholds, breathing checks, and sanitation requirements. Weaponized applications were prohibited under administrative law. By the closing years of this phase, the Iron Padlock of Silence was firmly embedded within the governance system. It functioned as a regulatory instrument shaped by institutional priorities. Surviving records portray it as a structured component of Varomel's broader administrative discipline. In the final period of Varomel's rule, administrative records indicate growing structural strain within the governance network. Increased documentation requirements placed pressure on regional offices, resulting in slower report submission. The Central Council noted recurring delays from frontier provinces. Census logs reveal inconsistencies caused by overlapping responsibilities among mid-level officials. Some districts recorded the same households under different categories, which complicated tax calculations. These irregularities prompted expanded review procedures. The Iron Padlock of Silence remained in use, but appeared less frequently in tribunal statistics. Councils focused on correcting systemic issues rather than penalizing individual breaches. Updated guidelines encouraged the use of targeted supervision in place of mechanical discipline. Medical reports from provincial clinics described cumulative health effects among repeat subjects of the device. Practitioners cited long-term jaw stiffness and recurring tongue swelling. These findings contributed to internal discussions about limiting applications. Correspondence between regional governors and the capital referenced concerns about morale within administrative offices. Officials reported fatigue caused by extended record-keeping tasks and increased oversight. The council documented these concerns but prioritized continuity over structural reform. Trade logs show minor disruptions in mineral and grain transport due to conflicting route directives. These conflicts resulted from outdated maps that had not been revised in several years. Cartographic teams were reassigned to address the issue. Varomel commissioned a comprehensive survey of administrative functions near the end of his reign. The survey examined communication delays, penalty practices, and archive management. Surveyors concluded that the system required consolidation to maintain efficiency. The findings suggested that disciplinary devices, including the padlock, were less effective in addressing wider administrative challenges. Councils gradually shifted toward procedural revisions and clearer chains of responsibility. This transition marked a definitive move away from reliance on mechanical corrective measures. By the last years of Varomel's time in power, the governance system had become more dependent on standardized protocols than direct punitive tools. The administrative environment evolved toward structured oversight that emphasized documentation accuracy and procedural clarity.